Hello guys, and welcome to another Zimaleta. In today's video, I want to discuss additives. Should you be using additives? And biggest question I want to ask you guys, do you use additives? And what I want to come out of this video is you guys to discuss what additives you think is best, what additives you might be using, and discuss whether you think additives are good or bad. And I'm going to put my input over here in the video as well, and just an unbiased type of opinion. First of all, I made a decision to make this video after getting an email from Colin. So, hello Colin, thank you for asking the question. So Colin asks if he should be adding additives into his oil and fuel, and I already answered his email, but I kind of thought, you know what? I think a lot of you guys have that question. I'm pretty sure I've seen this question before. It constantly gets asked, and of course he's a new owner to the Sprinter world, and he's going to be doing his first service. So I think it's a good question to ask. Should you be adding additives or should you not? Well, in my experience, I've seen a lot of people add Lucas into their oil, okay? Now, they swear by it, okay? I, on the other hand, don't use any additives anymore. I used to add additives into my Sprinter, but ever since my engine threw a rod, I changed my mind about the additives. And after getting a new engine from Mercedes and having a bill of $14,000, I asked the shop technician. He was like an older type of guy. He was an older Sprinter tech. I like to talk to those kind of guys. They have a lot of experience. And I said to him one question like this. I said, look, I got this new engine now. How should I drive it? He just kind of laughed. He said, drive it like you stole it. So like he's just full of jokes, I guess. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, really? Like shouldn't I be breaking it in? He's like, nope, just drive it, So it would seem like almost kind of like, okay, so that's kind of like ridiculous. You should be kind of like breaking in the engine. Then I asked him about additives. I said, what additives should I be using in this engine to make it last longer? Because it's a brand new engine. Now I'm going to be the person that's taking care of it, and hopefully it will last me as long as possible if I take care of it correctly. He says, I don't recommend you use any additives. He was recommending against it. I said, really? What about adding some Lucas into the oil? He's like, no, don't do it. And he explained it to me back then. This is way before I had my YouTube channel. He says the ports, the oil ports or oil holes or oil tubes that lubricate your pistons, they are so tiny. He says, the thicker viscosity of the oil, that actually will make, basically the oil is not going to be able to lubricate the engine properly, long story short. So there's also, I've spoke to an older mechanic back in the day. I asked him about Lucas as well, and he said to me the problem with Lucas is, it gets on the timing chain, like for instance, and it kind of like, the way he explained it, I really don't know if that makes much sense, but he was saying that it's going to be pulling on the camshafts and it's actually going to make him weaker, which I did see previously some people that had camshafts that actually broke apart, sometimes into 3 pieces on newer engines. I don't know if they've been using additives, but this is like one of the symptoms that he explained to me, that if you're going to be adding that kind of stuff, it's going to be kind of like pulling on it more. I really can't explain it because I know how to diagnose the Sprinters, I know how to service the Sprinters, I know how to take stuff apart, put stuff together, but when it comes to really getting technical, it's definitely, I'm not going to put myself in that category, let's just say like that. All I could do is speak from experience. I've been owning Sprinters since 2007. I have currently 8 Sprinters. And I've serviced already so many of them, not only for myself, but I've serviced them for customers. And part of my life, I was adding additives into my Sprinter. And the last additive I used in it was Z-Max formula. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that formula, but I used to be looking at all these different additives and I'm like, oh, Z-Max formula, oh, this might be good stuff. I read about it, and it said that they put that stuff into the engine, and supposedly it seals up all the tiny micro cracks and makes the engine more fuel efficient and last longer. Well, at the time I made a decision. My engine had like seriously like 844,000 miles on it. Okay, so I'm thinking, well, I want this baby to last. I mean, it lasted this long, so I want it to last some more. So guess what? I bought some ZMAX formula, and it said basically when you do an oil change, just add it straight to the oil. Let it run. I did all those things that it told me to do, and it said that it does not mix with oil. It will just basically lubricate, those areas, and it's gonna soak into the engine block basically. Well, it said it was safe. I put that stuff in there, and guess what? Like seriously, like about I'd say 3 to 5,000 miles later, my engine started knocking. I used to have a tiny knock, but it started really knocking noticeable. Like I used to have a knock at a certain RPMs, like when I'm going over speed bumps, I would hear like little taps. They were very minor, and I would not hear them when I would be driving. But this knock that I developed was, and I noticed this knock when I was in Arizona. I made it as far as to Michigan. I got another load to basically go to Texas. I believe it was Laredo. I made it as far as Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky. And my engine threw around. Lots of smoke came out from under the engine, and that was it. It was goodbye to the engine, basically. And that's how I ended up having to pay Mercedes all that money for that engine. So, there's my story. So ever since then, I decided that additives is not for me. I would consider adding some like ceramic type of coating additive. I think that stuff would work. But besides from that, like as far as engine oil additives, I would recommend against it. Now, there is other additives, of course, like for instance, like cetane booster for your fuel. That could be fine, but I mean, would you really want to add that booster every time you fuel up, especially if you already have like DEF, problem as well? I really don't think it's gonna make your fuel economy any better or your fuel injectors any cleaner. So that being said, on the fuel, for fuel additives, one of my friends had a T1N Sprinter with only 35,000 miles on it. He actually got it, like, I think it had like around like 17,000. It was a beautiful black Sprinter. He bought in like, I think like 2012 or something. And it was a 2006 version. I couldn't believe it that I had such low miles, because I know Sprinters will literally go up to a million miles and start counting over. So I thought that was the case, and I had to kind of like inspect it. I've taken a look at it. Man, that thing looked mint everywhere, underneath the hood, in and out. Unless somebody really, really, really did a really good cover-up job, that thing was mint. It was like not even rusted, like normal Sprinters would be. So guess what? He was big into additives. He came to West Virginia, like a Flying J down there. Got some fuel. Decided that he's going to put some fuel additive. I don't know what he used, but he used a fuel additive. Man, he put that stuff in there, and then he went to try to start his van up. Man, it was not starting. And long story short, he had to get a tow for like $900 to like one place. They could not figure it out. Then he towed it for $900 to another place they could not figure out. Then he had his van towed to his house. He ended up replacing high pressure fuel pump, the fuel rails, the fuel pump inside of the fuel tank. He replaced fuel filter, some fuel lines, and while the whole time I was telling him, it's your fuel injectors, they're contaminated. And he's like, no way, I got a brand new van, that's not gonna happen. I'm like, well, okay, because he was mechanically inclined, so I'm thinking, well, he knows what's best. And then he finally ran out of options, and he takes this thing to Mercedes, and they diagnose it, and they said, yep, your fuel injectors are contaminated, you need to replace all 5 of them. So $5,000 later from Mercedes, his van was running again. So he spent so much money trying to get his van running. First, fixing it himself with the parts that he was buying, brand new parts, not even used. And yeah, it wasn't really good for him, I guess, trying to use the additive at that time. So that's my take on additives. You know, when you have an older type of van, especially, okay, and your fuel injectors, you know, they got some contaminations already inside, okay? Well, now you add a fuel additive and it's going to clean up that contamination. Well, what's going to happen? It's going to travel down further, get lodged somewhere. Now it's in a bad spot, and now for your fuel injectors are stuck on open position. Because I'm really not sure if you guys know this, but these fuel injectors, unlike tractor trailer fuel injectors, they open up because of electromagnetic type of thing. So with that being said, so fuel rail is sending basically high pressure fuel pump. Okay, it's pumping up the fuel rail so that it pressurizes the fuel rail. Therefore, fuel rail will pressurize all the fuel injectors, and when that happens, then electromagnetic, I guess, pulse through the wires is applied to certain injectors, or whatever the computer decides, and that makes the injector open up, and then a spring pushes it back down. So when contamination breaks off and it gets lodged on a portion where it needs to now close down with a spring and it cannot compress it, well, then you have a injector stuck on open, which is a pretty common issue. Then you will not be able to start your van up because your injector is open, and you either need to rebuild that injector or replace it altogether. So that is the thing there. But anyways, I'm going to call this video pretty much an end. There's so much more to talk about, but I'm basically in a sauna recording this, and my phone already overheated one time, and I don't want it for it to overheat again. But anyways, guys, leave your comments down below. What is your experience with adding additives? I'm not gonna say that I'm completely against all additives, okay? I had bad experience with some of them, and some of my friends had bad experience. So write down in the comments below, like, what do you guys think? Do you use additives? Do you not use additives? Did you guys have any problems when you use additives? I think the best way to make this information be good for everybody is when we share this information together with each other, therefore learning from each other's past experiences, and we're going to be better off doing so. That being said, guys, thank you so much for watching, and in case you guys watch to the end, thank you so much. I guess you deserve to know that you might be wondering, what the heck, what is this car over here? This is not a Sprinter. What's going on here? The voice is not matching. Well, I'm recording new content for another channel of mine that's going to be just Mazda RX8 related. I decided to kind of separate the content. If you would like to support me on that channel, I'm just talking about just going there and subscribing and just like watching a few videos, hitting a few likes, then please do so, man. I would be really, really, really grateful. And if you do that, please be sure to comment below on those videos. And if you have Sprinter questions, go ahead and ask those in those videos on the Mazda RX-8, because I do watch that channel comment section as well. And you never know, I might be making a video answering your question next. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. Take care of yourself, and see you in the next video. Please subscribe if you're not a subscriber yet, because I have thousands of content on this channel. I'm pretty sure it's going to help somebody out. Take care, guys. God bless you. Bye-bye.